Meanwhile, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has ordered the recall of all Nigerian career and non-career ambassadors, reshaping the country's diplomatic landscape. The announcement came through Minister of Ambassador Yusuf, Tuggar, who confirmed the recall of all ambassadors. The recall follows a recent decision by President Bola Tinubu to recall the country's envoy to the United Kingdom, Sarafa Ishola. In response to inquiries regarding the recall letter, Ambassador Yusuf Tuggar, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, clarified that all career ambassadors and non-career ambassadors had been recalled under President Tinubu's directive. He emphasized that ambassadors, as representatives of the country, serve at the discretion of the president, and it is his prerogative to appoint or recall them from any country. To better make sense of this, of course, we are joined now by Femi Lawson, an international affairs analyst. Thank you so much for your time, Femi.
Good evening.
All right, good evening to you too. Let's get straight to it. This particular general recall seems, rather unusual, and is gathering quite a number of reactions. Now, let's start off with this. Is this within the president's purview, or is this skipping due process? And generally, how would you rate the performance of the previous diplomatic corps?
It is, thank you for having me. It is within the prerogative of Mr. President to appoint and recall majority of these ambassadors who have represented Nigeria across the various diplomatic missions where Nigeria has been represented. And except for few instances where there have been career diplomats, and I would say in a very few circumstances, most of the persons who have represented Nigeria across the various diplomatic missions are political appointees of Mr. President. And that is why it is not strange that Mr. President has used his discretion to recall some of these persons who have represented Nigeria. A lot of them have been there for over 4 years. Some have served in the last 4 years. So it is not unusual. It is one of those, processes that we have experienced as far as, whenever a new administration comes into place in Nigeria is concerned. So it is not strange, and I think it is within the powers of the president. And I think that is what President Bola Tinubu has demonstrated in recalling these ambassadors who have served Nigeria in various capacities over the last couple of years.
Now, how do you think this particular move will impact on the nation's diplomatic relations with other countries?
Well, majorly, Nigeria's diplomatic relationship with other countries is driven mostly by the foreign policies of the administration locally through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of our country. Oftentimes, it is not usually about what decisions are taken, when these ambassadors are posted to the various countries when they are served. The most important has always been the policy of the administration as far as its foreign policy direction is concerned. Well, as it is now, Nigerians cannot basically pinpoint what the foreign policy direction of the President Bola Tinubu administration, is. It is often, it is more rather about the economic security and, of course, policies of the administration as we are currently experiencing. So I think one of the things that will shape the foreign policy administration of the Tinubu administration is going to be the caliber of people that is bringing on board to represent Nigeria across the foreign missions, and of course, whatever is going to be the policy of the administration in the appointment of ambassadors and of course foreign diplomatic representatives of the country in the next couple of weeks. So this decision may not be enough for us to gauge what the foreign policy of the administration may look like.
Now, there are speculations that this particular move might create some sort of gap in Nigeria's diplomatic relations, particularly during this transition period. Do you also share that opinion?
No, that is not the way, because majority of Nigeria's ambassadors to some of these countries are mere political appointees. They are often not career diplomats. In actual fact, if you look at the number of ambassadors that Nigeria can talk about today, they are usually people who are political appointees. Majorly, the career diplomats representing Nigeria across the various missions are few and fewer in number. And in most places, when you have political appointees who are ambassadors representing Nigeria, they are usually rather career diplomats across the various missions where Nigeria has been represented over the time. So the fact that ambassadors are being recalled is not an end to the diplomatic relation between Nigeria and some of these countries where these ambassadors have served. We've had career diplomats representing Nigeria in various capacity across these foreign missions, and they will continue to do their job even while the politically, appointed ambassadors are absent. There are, of course, consulars across the various diplomatic missions. There are a lot of other diplomatic employees of the country representing the country at various diplomatic missions. So there may be no visible gap, even in the absence these ambassadors have been recalled.
All right, Femi, before I let you go, what are the priority diplomatic areas you feel the president should actually consider when appointing new ambassadors?
Thank you. I think Nigeria, we have a lot of issues that has to do with, deficit in the area of our perception internationally, in the area of our relationship with so many countries that have been economic partners in the past. As we speak, there are a lot of countries that have ceased in actively engaging Nigeria in the term of economy, security, and other areas that are very important to our being as a country. So I think in appointing future ambassadors and diplomats that will represent the country, President Bola Tinubu must be interested in looking at the characters that would not only go to these countries and serve as ambassadors to Nigeria, but also that would have the capacity to represent Nigeria both economically, socio-politically, and most importantly, represent Nigeria in the area of redefining the integrity of our nation as a country, our integrity as a people, to the extent that we should begin to gather the honor and the value that we have often, and of course the respect we have often commanded as a country, as a people before now.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Femi Lawson.
It's my pleasure.